Hi, welcome to the Daiku Games and Daiku Game Pitch. Today I'm joined by Scott McDonald, the creator of Wasteland Degenerates, which is a gas-guzzling, high-octane, post-apocalyptic RPG about miserable, radiated scum struggling to survive in tomorrow's unforgiving carcass. Scott, welcome.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Happy to
Well,
be here.
You made, I think, a really fun game, and it is compatible with both Morkborg and Cyborg. And I know I'm not saying that pronunciation right from the Swedish pronunciation, but anyways, I think it's well known for Morkborg and Cyborg at this point. But you, first of all, before you start in on talking about Wasteland Degenerates, tell us, how did you get started in gaming, and where was the kernel that this game came from?
Yeah, I appreciate that. I was pre 10 years old, and I found my dad's Dungeon Master's Guide, first edition, Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, and I thought it was really cool. I didn't understand any of it. I thought when it talked about planes of existence, it was talking about airplanes, that was pretty much it. I got into Dungeons and Dragons. I got into a little bit later Gamma World from the great James M. Ward, I pretty much evolved my gaming tastes from there. I got Car Wars, and that has a lot of DNA in Wasteland Degenerates. And in the 90s, I played Vampire like everybody, but I did come back to Gamma World, in the 2010s, and I have a creative writing degree from University of Minnesota, and so go Gophers, I guess. I started in on gaming early. My dad apologized for giving me his book because he thought that it made me awkward, and maybe it did, but it also made me the person that I am today, and the person who made Wasteland Degenerates.
Well, I know sometimes people get hooked into the hobby just through those kind of random means, and including myself. My sister had a game lying around. She wasn't too into it, and I just picked it up and just ran with it, and it's changed my life. So let's talk about Wasteland Degenerates. And you talked about Car Wars being in its DNA, and I used to love playing Car Wars. It was always our kind of a break game. We played a lot of 1E D&D, and then once in a while we'd go changing it up, and we go, let's play Car Wars and get out all our frustrations on each other and kill each other for in some of the arenas. And so let's talk about Wasteland Degenerates. Tell us, and it's on BackerKit right now, and you just said it's crossed the $4,000 US threshold, which is amazing for a first-time outing. Links, once again, I'll just remind people, they are in the description below if you want to back this great game. But let's talk about Wasteland Degenerates and how it kind of came to be.
Yeah, I would say that I have three major inspirations and a few minor, and I list them on the BackerKit page. But the three major ones are Gamma World, which I never really got to play as a kid because getting 12-year-olds into something other than D&D is just as difficult then as it is now. So Gamma World, Car Wars. Again, never played a lot of Car Wars because it takes about an hour to run 1 second of game time, and so that was a tall order for some of my chums. But I did spend hours and hours making cool cars and scribbling in notebooks, which I have recently refound, and I had some awesome ideas back then. And the third major one is, of course, Mad Max, and which was always something that I appreciated. I've been beyond Thunderdome for so many years, but since Fury Road came out, and most recently Mad Max Furiosa. I've been really big on, the road combat idea and getting that working in an RPG, because I feel like vehicle chase rules have really not evolved very well in any of the gaming spaces that I've seen. They're clunky. They take up a lot of time. They're not very representative, and so I just wanted to use this chance, to include a cool car making and road combat, in a Mad Max style, universe.
And why Morkborg and Cyborg compatible? Like, do you play those games often enough that you went, okay, like this is a good fit, or was it more of an artistic, stylistic layout kind of thing?
It's a funny story. I used to run a lot of Starfinder, and that Starfinder is a great game with incredible lore, but running 2 to 4 hours of Starfinder just gave me the most enormous headache. Keeping track of 3 major stat blocks for the enemies, remembering all the players' powers when they don't bother to, look them up. It was just a lot. And I was sitting around with my friend who I was always trying to get into gaming, but always bounced off of it because of the complexity of the rules and, the type of game it was. And she saw Morkborg sitting on my shelf, which had been given to me by a friend who was no longer into tabletop RPGs. And she paged through it and she said, Scott, you have to run this for me. And I'm like, okay, I will do that, because I've been trying to get you into gaming for years now. And that got me to learn the rules, which are very, very easy. And when I ran the game for them, I was so relaxed, and there was so little, nuts and bolts complexity that it made me feel good. And like, I could actually make this even a little bit more complicated. And so when it came time, I noticed that nobody had made a post-apocalyptic Morkborg yet. And Cyborg had just come out, and I looked at that and I'm like, this is about the level of crunch that I want in my RPGs. So I used Cyborg as a basis, and I kind of went off to the races from there.
Cool. And maybe a shout out to Matthew here and some of the layout and art, which I know is fantastic.
Oh, Matthew is great. As I've said before, I reached out to him, over a year ago when I was still trying to conceptualize the idea. And I asked him, from seeing his stuff on Facebook, what I could expect for pricing for you getting page spreads of artwork. And he's like, well, I could tell you that, but please tell me more about your game, because I'm interested. And I told him, it's a post-apocalyptic, Mad Max Morkborg. And he says, well, I would love to work on this with you. And I'm like, okay, sure. I'm a little bit suspicious, but let's see where it goes. And it turned out I didn't need to be suspicious, because he's great. He's very talented. He's versatile. His regular artwork is on a Facebook page called Driftwood Archives, if you want to check that out. But it's all like beautiful elves and stern warriors and cool complex monsters, and fantasy portraiture. And and here we have a burning ice cream truck, and nothing wrong with the burning ice cream truck. It's exactly what I asked him for. But it is, what I thought was a departure, but he's just that talented so that he can do any kind of art you ask him to do. So please hire Matthew Myslinski. he is great.
And this particular edition, you're calling it the Jumper Cable Edition.
Yes. That is because the original book that I was going to do was just Wasteland Degenerates. It was a hardcover that could sit on the shelf next to Cyborg and Morkborg and Vast Grim and Frontier Scum. But it looked like I didn't have enough support to actually produce the big hardcover right away. And, I talked to some people, I talked it over with Matthew, and we thought, hey, we could just do all of the character creation and the road combat stuff for people to just plug into their Cyborg or Morkborg game. And, and that would be a jumpstart on, making the big hardcover, because the big hardcover would include all of this information at a higher price point. But this is something that even after the hardcover is done, the game master could just hand out to a player, oh, your character died, here, make a new character while I use the core book for GM stuff. So that was our idea. And, now that we're actually pretty successful, and I probably could have actually done the hardcover, I'm feeling a little bit silly, but who knows if I would have had enough support with the price point of a full hardcover. So
well, I think it's a good strategy. It lets people get I guess, for lack of a better word, indoctrinated into the into the game, and that they like get a teaser, and then the full meal is going to be maybe down the road. So pardon the pun on down the road, but here we go. Wasteland Degenerates Jumper Cable Edition, Rose Lights, Gas Guzzling, High Octane. And the world, like you said, it's post-apocalyptic, and obviously Morkborg leads well into that. As far as the types of players that people can play, types of classes, let's run through them. I've got some of them on the screen in the following slides, but just talk about like when you were thinking about some of these. I mean, I really like the names of them, and just talk about the world building and the lore that kind of surround them.
Yeah. So this is a retro futuristic game, reminiscent of Fallout, but where Fallout was nostalgic for the 1950s and early 60s, this is kind of nostalgic for the 1980s. So while you have super science and robots and all sorts of sci-fi stuff, the character classes are people that you could have seen in the 80s. The Exile Grease Monkey is your archetypal Mad Max sort of character. Excuse me. And like the jilted survivalist, there was always doomsday preppers, in the 80s, who were afraid of nuclear war. And, it's super great that nuclear war is in the news again. And, we're all...
We'll have to clip that for like a video. It's good that the nuclear war is in the conversation again.
Yeah.
That's the good news.
I may regret that statement, but, it is... it's kind of staring into the abyss, looking at all the climate disaster and, and war with Russia. And I'm like, oh, this is all great for the Zeitgeist. But itinerant scavenger, that's your hobo who, was neglected in the pre-apocalypse, but is now, kind of a valued person because they are self-sufficient. The AWOL conscript, they stopped getting paid, so they stopped fighting for the feds. The baffled researcher, there's no more tenure. So, these very smart individuals, have to go out on the road and make their fate somehow. And Matthew's favorite class is the shortwave evangelist. And I think we've got that slide. Yeah. And this is a great class. It's reminiscent of the wretched royalty in Morkborg as kind of the face character. But what they do is they've got a ham radio, and that they preach to their congregation at night. And if they can just summon a parishioner, who is one of 6 different types of characters, the tough bastard, cultist, mutant, Sunday driver, I like. And these people will help you, and until they die or run away, or or you exile them. And I just really like the idea of having this face character who is kind of a scumbag, but all of the characters in Wasteland Degenerates have some level of something negative going on, with their great abilities, because that's something that Morkborg did. The wretched royalty, and the and like the frontline character was is just a dumb brute, and there's not, you can't be everything in a Morkborg game, and you're not heroic. You may have some skills, but you're basically just getting by. And everybody has a history that you roll on a d6, and it's always something that gives you some flavor, and gives you something to be afraid of. Like some of them are gas hogs, are the road gangs. It's like you're on the run from the road hogs, or you've pissed off a postal vicar. And postalism is a religion in the game, by the way. The United States Post Office became its own cult.
Well, that's awesome. I know we got a question that came in via YouTube. They're asking, are you thinking that this Jumpstart edition will lead into the full hardcover, or maybe a second zine-sized book?
That's a great question. I would like it to become the full hardcover as my next project, but it really depends on the finances and where things are. I do plan on, if we get enough money to hit my second stretch goal, there will be a kind of a monster booklet. And Brian Collin of Morkborg, not Morkborg, Vastgrim, has promised to make a monster if we hit that stretch goal. So I will include some of the creatures from the full book in that pamphlet if we get there. But I don't think I want to do another zine until after I get the hardcover done, because it's my dream to get that hardcover done. So I'm really hoping to do that next. But if we have to do zines, we'll do zines.
And I'm assuming they're gonna be approximately the same size, so it's gonna fit nicely on your the bookshelves.
Absolutely, together. Absolutely. A5 size is how it's called, I guess. I don't know. I'm not European. I don't know what an A5 is.
Digest A5, I think they're kind of in that kind of same frame, but anyways, they'll all match up. And we got on the screen here some rad implants, which in the future look pretty cool. Maybe just talk us through how you came up with some of them.
Yeah. So the rad implants came from the idea that it is possible to lose limbs when while you're playing the game. I have a critical injuries table, and if you lose a limb, how are you going to continue adventuring? There are serious penalties to losing a limb, but I wanted to make sure that you could still adventure, so I created rad implants, and rad stands for radiological algorithm deterministic implants. And what it basically means is that these are self-implanting prosthetics that you can just put on your arm and push a button, and it will get rid of any excess organic material and you will have a new fancy arm. And I was uncertain of how that would look when I was conceptualizing this. I basically said it's better off not to think about. But then the Fallout TV show came on, and they had a thing called Jim's Limbs. And I don't know if you've seen Fallout, but they have self-implanting, limbs, and they're very, very unpleasant. So I was, Leonardo DiCaprio pointing at the TV when I saw that on Fallout.
Yeah, I have seen little bits and pieces of it, and definitely some of the scenes are pretty graphic. And then I've got some of the other slides, and maybe this is a good time to bring up. There's another question that came in via YouTube. Timeline for the zine being ready, rough idea, and like the fact that like on your BackerKit page you've got samples of pages. This looks pretty much ready to go and ready to print, which is in the indie game space pretty rare, but really good to do if you can.
Yeah, I've been paying for this out of pocket for about a year now, maybe a little longer. But I would say that we are over half done with the zine, which means that we're, maybe a quarter done with the full hardcover. So, that's another reason to do the zine first, is because we have more of it done. I would say that if I can get Matthew on full time, which is the first stretch goal at $6,000, I think we can get this done, by fall of this year. If we cannot, and I'm still paying for it out of pocket every month, I think it'll be winter at the latest. So probably this year.
Okay, cool. Thanks, Daniel and John, for those questions earlier. So we've got the basic rules here, nice layout, some mutations. Well, it is the post-apocalyptic, right? You need some mutations and complications. And that, I'm assuming that was a lot of fun to write.
Oh yeah, I really I came up with a lot of lore around the mutations. They're caused by a substance that came to Earth in meteors called space dust, creatively named, I know, but that's what came to me. And getting in contact with space dust could give you, different mutations and different complications. And a lot of people who got mutated, by a cloud of space dust, all got the same mutations. So there's some lore about some found families and clans that all have the same sorts of mutations, and so they're in one of the factions of the Wasteland are these, kind of mutant clans that are less about, family lines and more about having shared mutations that the regular society shuns.
And you've got some killer weapons. Did you go back into the Car Wars Uncle Albert's mindset and kind of come up with some, how can we kill people?
Yeah, no, I love my Uncle Albert's guide, that's for sure. But I do have for vehicles a bunch of weapons that are from Car Wars. These weapons, are a little bit more primitive for the most part. I especially love the sharpened stop sign axe. I got the idea from that from the cover of an old computer game from the late 80s called Scavengers of the Mutant World. And, one of the characters on the box cover had a stop sign shield. And I didn't want to copy that. So I decided that it would be the axe instead.
Very cool. And then, of course, you're doing car chases, so you need vehicles.
Yeah. I have a customization system. Each of these vehicles has a number of spaces, kind of like Car Wars. And they can have, mods like like ram plows or turbochargers or guns that can be set on, a front, back, right, left mounting, or, if you have a turret, you can stick it in there. And, each of these vehicles can have a trailer or a sidecar for the motorcycle. And yeah, it was a ton of fun to make these. And Matthew just had a field day, creating this spread. And he was supposed to put the trailers on this page too, but he's like, Scott, this is this art is too good to squish up and onto like a limited spread. So I'm like, okay, you can put the trailers on the next page.
And then you've got character sheets and vehicle sheets. Is that, or that's just a map on the right there?
On the left side is the character sheet on top and the vehicle sheet on the bottom. The right will not be in the zine itself. That is the part of the map for the first adventure that will go in the hardcover. I kind of have this on the backer kit page as the road ahead, as something that is coming but is not quite here. The first adventure takes place in a militarized gas station. So you can see, there's the gas station and dumpsters and like the fuel pumps and such there. And yeah, if I do a zine, Daniel, or who, I don't remember who mentioned it, but if I do another zine, it will probably be the first adventure as a kind of a teaser. But it was intended to be in the core rulebook.
And before we get into the different tiers that people can support at, we did have another question coming in about sneak peek as to what the monsters or NPCs might show up in stretch goals or in the hardcover.
Yeah, we only have one monster page done, and you can find it on the Talk Morkborg page if you go to # Wasteland Degenerates. There is the rad supremacists are one of the monster types, and the character on there, I really should have sent you that art, but the character there is actually based on my friend who told me that I had to run Morkborg for her. So yeah, I apologize for not having that art
That's
in
all right.
particular, but yeah, there's a little bit out there.
And I should mention that people can go to your backer kit and go to your itch page from there. And I'll have the link in the video description here too, of Enter the Dismal Armory. And they can get a bit of a sense of like the work going into this.
Yeah.
And what it's going to feel like.
Yeah, I love Enter the Dismal Armory. It's, originally based on Dark Fort, which was the precursor to Morkborg, or Myrkborg, as I guess is the Swedish. I probably just murdered that. But this looks like it's kind of a low tech version of Wasteland Degenerates, and that's a fair assessment. But Matthew and I did put a lot of work into this. It's actually got played by the Lone Adventurer YouTube channel. And he actually did 2 videos on it, which is very humbling for me that somebody would play my game and then willingly play it again after failing miserably the first time. So yeah, this is free, by the way, or you can you put it on an add-on. Just the cost of the ink and paper. I'm charging $3 as an add-on for Dismal Armory Physical Edition. So yeah, print it off for free or pay me. Both are good.
So in closing here, tell us about all the different reward levels and what they can get for that.
Yeah, the sympathetic city dweller is the no rewards, but you want to contribute a few bucks towards the success. I appreciate that, and you'll get updates from me. The Scanner Survivor is the PDF that costs $7.50, and that will let you print off the zine once it goes to fulfillment. It's 64 pages, so it might be a bit of ink to print on your own, but it's, if you play everything from your laptop, it's great. True Wasteland Degenerate. This is the physical copy of the zine and the PDF. That's just the basics that you might want. The Road Warrior is a copy of the physical zine plus a pad of character sheets, and of course there's the PDF. If you look at the cost of the character sheets, you actually get a little bit of a discount if you go with the Road Warrior. If you buy them separately, that's $23. If you buy them together, that's $22. I really want people to get those character sheets because I love them so much.
They are awesome character sheets. So once again, there they are on the left.
Thank you. And the post-apocalyptic peddler is the retail version, and you get 5 zines for about half price. And you can put them on your store shelves. Retailers, hit me up. I'd love to talk to you. I very much want to see this on my friendly local gaming stores shelves. I also just activated a new tier to be the Gamma Marauder, and this is a tier that includes a copy of the poster that the early birds got. And this poster has a homage to the original Gamma World poster. If you type in Gamma World is here on your Googles, you'll probably find it. I had a young artist named Leo in my town here. I said, hey, do you want to create a homage to a late great game designer named James M. Ward? And he said, yes, I would like work. And on the other side of the poster is a little graphic dungeon. I call it Carhenge. It's a maze of cars, and Matthew is drawing that one, and it will actually be the first published adventure outside of Dismal Armory, and it'll be just a cool little add-on, and there's only 100 of them. So if you really want this cool poster plus a mini adventure, then run right out there.
And am I safe to assume that people can create third-party adventures and content for Wasteland Degenerates?
Yeah, I got a real deer in the headlights look, when somebody first asked me that. I'm like, wait, do I need a third-party license to do a third-party licensed product? And the answer is yes, I guess you do. And yes, I will have that at some point. I will probably put it on my website, wastelanddegenerates.com. So, once we are a real thing, please, and you want to make adventures for Wasteland Degenerates, I am all for that, because that's how Morkborg players run.
Well, it looks like a fabulous game. I'm really excited to kind of see how it all plays out for you. I think you're off to a great start, and
Thank you.
You and Matthew have done a really good job on getting this going.
I appreciate it. It's a lot, but I'm getting through it one day at a time.
Cool. Well, Scott, thank you for joining us today and sharing this project that you're making. And if you are an indie game designer like Scott and you want to come on the show and pitch your game, feel free to reach out to me. Go to Daiku Games/game pitch and tell them Game Pitch Gary sent you.
Hey friends, are you looking for a game that is not Dungeons or Dragons? Well, we got exactly what you need at Daiku Game Pitch. We got zines, we got OSR, we got adventures. But wait, there's more. We got solo games, we got journaling games, we even got card games and dice games. Oh hell, I don't even know what kind of game this is, but we got it. And if you visit us in the next 2 minutes, you're gonna get all the Zine Quest, Zine Months, Itch Fund and Backer Kits, Kickstarters that you can handle. Visit us at www.daikugames.com and tell them a Game Pitch Gary sent ya.